So Unit 5 in a computer network is an application protocol. These are all the protocols being used in a computer network: www and HTTP, FTP, email, telnet, SSH, DNS and SNMP. So introduction of an application layer is a higher layer of a protocol suite. These layer provide services to the user. The communication is provided using a logical connection, which means that the two application layer assume that there is an imaginary direct connection through which they can send and receive messages. So the types of application protocols are standard protocol and non-standard protocol. The standard application protocols are, there are several application protocols that have been standardized and documented by the internet authorities. The widely used synchronized application protocols are SNMP, HTTP. SNMP is simple mail transfer protocol, is used to exchange the electronic mail. HTTP is hypertext transport protocol, is used to communicate between the web browsers and web servers. Non-standard application protocols are, a programmer can create a non-standard application program if they can write two programs that are provided services to user by interacting with the transport layer. The application layer paradigms are a traditional paradigm as well as a new paradigm. The traditional paradigm in the sense it is similar to a client-server communication. New paradigm in the sense it's a peer-to-peer communication. The client-server paradigm is called it as client-server paradigm. The traditional paradigms are called it as client-server. When a client performing a data transmission, you send a request to the receiver. If a receiver accepted the response means they can initiate a data transmission. So this is a diagrammatic representation of simple client-server communication. Peer-to-peer communication that can be represented. Every devices are connected with every other devices in a network. Everyone they can perform a data communication, but one device at a time. Mixed paradigm, an application may choose to use a mixture of two paradigms by combining the advantages of both. First protocol is World Wide Protocol. World Wide Web is a distributed client-server services in which a client can access the services at the server. The services provided by the distributed over a many locations called a site. So this is a diagrammatic representation. The client that can performing a communication with a site A and a site B. First it send a request. After the response is given to a respective client. Similarly, it will be performing a communication with a site B, then followed by responses from a site B. The systems allow a document search and a retrieval from any part of an internet. The component of web or web client browsers, web server, web cache and internet. Web client or a browsers is a software on a client on a web which initiate the communication with the server. Web services. All the communication between the web client and the web server uses a standard protocol which is called it as HTTP. The web server informs its operating system to accept the incoming network connection using a specific port on a machine. The proxy servers a computer that keep the copy of response to recent requests. So the web client can communicate with the web server through the web proxies. URL. URL is a uniform resource locator, is a uniquely identified resource on the internet. URL provide the information about its location on a web. For example, this can be represented like http://www.domain-name/file-name. So first one is a protocols followed by the host. Next one is a port and the end of the URL is a path. URL path. The path of the document for a HTTP protocol is same as that for a document or a file of a directories in a client. URI, Uniform Resource Identifier, is a string that identify the resources such as a document, image, services, etc. Next protocol is file transfer protocol. FTP protocol is a file transfer protocol. So this protocol provided by the TCP/IP used for transmitting a file from one host to another. It is mainly used for transferring a web page files from their creator to a computer that act as a server for each other computers on the internet. The objective of FTP is provides the sharing of files used to encourage the user of remote computer. It transfer the data more reliable and effectively. So this is the mechanisms of FTP. When a client which transmit a data to the servers over the transmission medium, that can be controlled, either it may be a local file or a remote file access. So FTP connections, it provide a connection oriented as well as a connection less. FTP communication is achieved through the commands and responses. FTP commands are sent from the client to the server. The FTP responses are sent from server to a client. So these are all the some of the commands of an FTP. Next one is Telnet, is an original remote logging protocol based on client-server protocol. Telnet provide a connection to the remote computer in such a way that the local terminals appear to be at the remote access. So this is a logical local login of an Telnet application programs. So this is what the remote logging are being done with the help of the internet. The both the end that are connected with the internet means they can be operated in a remote way. SSH, Secure Shell, is a secure application program that can be used today for several purposes such as remote logging and file transfer. It was originally designed to replace the Telnet concepts. The SSH transport layer protocols first uses a protocol that create a secure channel on the top of a TCP layer. The port forwarding, one of the interesting service provided by SSH protocol is a port forwarding. We can use a secured channel available in SSH to access an application program that does not provide the security services. Next concept is a DNS. DNS is a domain name system, was designed in 1984, used for name to address mapping. DNS provide a protocol which allows the client and server to communicate with each other. Example, the host name is like www.yahoo.com is translated into a respective IP address 207.174.77.131. The DNS is a distributed database used by the TCP IP applications to map between the host name and IP addresses. So this is a work of an DNS. When you are entering a DNS name, it is converted into a respective IP address. So it will refer on the DNS servers. The client send a request. Based on the requests are being processed and immediately respond with the respective IP addresses. Domain namespace is a hierarchical namespace. A domain namespace was designed, the name or defined in the inverted tree structure with the root at the top. Each node in a tree have a label with a string a maximum of 63 characters. The root label is a null string. It is arranged like a tree concept. The root is a null followed by the top node. After that the leaf node. Likewise it will be derived in depth. The domain name. Each node in a tree have a label called a domain name. A full domain name is a sequence of labels separated by a dot. The domain name are always read for the node up to the root. So this is a diagrammatic representation. The domain is a subtree of a domain namespace. The name of the domain in a domain namespace at the top of a subtree. Here the com and edu are a subtrees of a root. It can be categorized into generic domain and country domain. Inverse domain. SNMP is a simple network management protocol. This protocol is a framework for managing a devices in the internet using a TCP IP protocol suite. SNMP is an application layer protocol that monitors and manages the routers distributed over a network. It provides a set of operations for monitoring and managing the internet. So the managers, the agents with the help of the TCP IP protocol suite. It can be initiated through SNMP messengers. The structure of management information and the management information bases are two protocols being used in SNMP protocols. So this is a diagrammatic representation. Thank you.